Hello to all you viewers out there. I am Tiny Cross-H.U.G. I am your host of the Trumped Up Live Show. You can always remember to like and subscribe to the channel. I always feel like I give a different perspective as a individual that comes out of the city of Los Angeles. Um, I kind of take my time and give my take on things in hopes that you guys can have the ability to catch on. I do believe that these content creators give us all the ability to see things from a different view besides just going to the news to dictate and pretty much propagandize our mindsets to where it gives us a way of thinking. I believe that this gives us the opportunity to actually open up and have discussions. So always remember as well to leave your comments uh, so I can know your take and your spin on things, and so that I can come on air and we can have different topics and different discussions to really go through. Right today, I don't necessarily have a hot topic today. Topic is going to involve black fatigue. Right, and there's an individual that I like to listen to with regards to court cases and rulings with regards to the Supreme Court. One thing that he definitely is on right now, he's definitely on birthright citizenship, but he is being interviewed by someone else. I don't have their name at the moment. I had it surprised me, and the reason why I'm showing this video because probably like I believe it was about 3 weeks ago, it surprised me to see this individual who I very much respect talking about black fatigue. He is a lawyer. He does a very good job at his his analysis of the Supreme Court cases. And one of the particular things that he is on right now is, like I said, birthright citizenship. And I think he does a great job of breaking it down. Um, I'm not going to go into any of his court cases right now or the his reviews of some of these court cases. When you look at his perspective of birthright citizenship, though, you should you can you have the availability of seeing in which way that it will all work out with Trump in terms of birthright citizenship. However, let's go over here at the moment, and we're going to check out him speaking on black fatigue. I didn't see the whole video, and the reason why this interests me right now is I believe that black people actually need to have the ability of seeing themselves outside of the spectrum of their own culture, how they're looked upon, right? And I believe that it's important because I believe that black representation is important. How we all represent ourselves, how we go about conducting ourselves in the world. It's all important, right? So I don't think that this is necessarily a bad thing. It could be taken any way that you want. I'm gonna give my take on it, and hopefully that we can just have a broader perspective. Some of us never take the opportunity of getting out of our neighborhoods, and one of the things that I believe that every individual should take the opportunity to do is to get themselves out of their surroundings and place themselves somewhere else, right? To be able to have the opportunity to look from the outside in, and that's from a personal perspective, a cultural perspective. Uh, just have the idea that that's a lot of times I think that's what college is about. Without um, pretty much being dictated on what you need to learn. Some things certain doctrines, yeah, you need to learn because you need to learn how stuff operates. And that's when a person goes to prison, that's what they're asked to do. They're asked to look outside, look back from their perspective, from the confines of the wall that they're in hopes that they can have the opportunity to change that perspective. So I want to get into this video. This is a guy that I respect. Some of the stuff that I heard out of his mouth. you know, I was like, wow. I was like, wow. And I just felt like it was a good opportunity to give all individuals the opportunity, since I do have respect of the guy for his review of law, to also give other people that same opportunity to view it from the outside. So let's take a quick minute.
What up, guys? Welcome to my reaction series. As you know, I have been bringing on different guests to react to different topical reactions. And today we have the man, the myth, the legend, Andrew Branca. Welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here, Pearl. Always happy to be here.
You did you change your channel name? It's not Law of Self Defense anymore.
We're still doing law of self defense. Law of self defense. Learn how to be hard to convict at lawofselfdefense.com. I still do that, but I, like a Jamaican cab driver, I started a second business. So now we do the Branca Show on YouTube for political and legal commentary. I even got a mug for that too. Look at that.
Oh, cool.
You got
Cool.
always be grifting.
I know. I just got a t-shirt machine, so I got to figure out what I'm putting on my t-shirts. Okay, so today we're talking about black fatigue. So, how familiar are you with black fatigue? Have you seen it online or in real life?
I'm pretty damn tired. I'm pretty tired. Yeah, I think your audience is going to be shocked by some of the reality out there because we're propagandized to believe that, of course, all bad things in the world are the responsibility of white people. Uh, it's just not true, especially crime, especially violent crime.
Yeah, and I was telling you before, I couldn't believe how high the stats were for black crime, and I remembered you saying that it's actually worse than the books say.
Right,
Um, like you were saying that a third of black men have a felony conviction,
right.
and then I think saw that 6 in 10 are arrested by the age of 25. How could it be worse than that?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. No, it's even worse. As I mentioned, I have people send me booking photos. Cop friends of mine send me booking photos all the time of clearly African American males, and they're classified as white when they're booked, and so that all goes into the data. So the violent crime rates for white people is vastly overestimated. They do it other ways too. Like they don't have classifications often for, say, Middle Eastern or North African or
Mhm.
Indian. So they'll, if you're Middle Eastern or Indian and you commit a violent crime in America, they'll label you as white.
No way.
These are not the same demographics, my friends.
And,
These are different cultures,
and
different
why would
crime rates.
the police do that? Because is the stats like is it logged by the police? Like what would be their incentive to lie?
Well, of course, the guy actually doing the booking who's recording the data,
Mhm.
he's just doing what he's told. His bosses are, and any police officer, once you get to the level of like captain in a police department, you're not really a cop anymore. You're a politician at that point. So your career
Oh,
is dependent on what the
oh,
politicians
and
want.
you
And if the
can't
politicians
say
want to say, hey, black crime is down, well,
uh
all they have to do is take a bunch of black criminals and label them as white, right? It's the same way they don't record the, so they'll also diminish a lot of crime. So
Mhm.
a black guy comes in, he committed an attempted murder, he shot someone, and they'll downgrade it to aggravated assault, which is still a serious crime, but it's much less than it. And then they'll say, oh,
Uh,
look, the attempted murders are down.
do you have
Excuse me for that. I know individuals who they do that to white people too. They don't only do that to black people. I know individuals who have 6 strikes, and these are white individuals who have more of a possibility of getting out, especially when the 3 strikes laws was seriously being enacted within the state of California. People would, and we can look at Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris was hard on black men in order to progress her political career. So it happens to black people and white people where it's all about the deal making process in these courts, having the ability to stop a trial from being ensued and actually taking place. It saves court times, it saves taxpayers dollars, and it just frees up the availability of the system to actually operate when so much crime is actually taking place.
any idea what it actually is?
What actually is?
Like, what do you think the rates actually are? Do you have any idea if you had to guess?
Oh, it's
It,
just horrific. I can tell you that if we took black okay, here's some examples. Black men commit violent crime at 20 times the rate of white men. That's with the bad data. So imagine if we clean up the data, what the numbers would actually be. Black women commit homicide at twice the rate of white men.
no way.
Yep.
Do you know
Yes.
what? I went on this show
Those
because I was,
bitches are dangerous,
yeah,
man.
I
Be
know.
careful.
No, I got in trouble recently because I went on a panel show and this girl was like, "Oh, she was saying I was jealous because the black women are stealing the white men apparently." And I'm like, "No, not really. I mean, you get." And then I told her, "I'm like, half of you guys have herpes. We're not really worried about you guys."
That's
And
true.
that's on top of the obesity.
I mean, see, first of all, I think he called, black women bitches. Second of all, she's talking about that half of our women population has herpes, and this is where I like to take a look at the perspective that is being looked at us from the outside, because this is individuals who have stood up for birthright citizen in regards to it being for slaves, just off the dictations of what the Trump administration is actually talking about. I'm trying to fix that camera over there real quick. Just off the dictations of what the Trump administration is actually talking about, that it wasn't meant for anybody to just step onto American soil and have the right to have access to birthright citizenship. So he's strong on that. And when you probably you seen his mug to where he showed his show, and he has some very good analysis with regards to birthright citizenship and in terms of who is considered we the people. So take a look at it, but you can also hear the undertones of what he believes of the culture that is has pretty much in this current culture, but you could of a people who have done so much for this country, and this is why I think black representation, not only on social media but in the way that we represent ourselves, is such an important thing.
Right. And they got really mad at me and I went on this other show and one of the guys was like saying that it was bad that I didn't know the white crime stats off the top of my head and I'm like, I have eyes. Like I walk outside, the cracked out guys are
Yeah.
the black guys.
If we take the black violent crime out of U.S. crime statistics, America has the same violent crime rate as Switzerland.
No way.
It's almost entirely black male violent crime.
Wow. Do you think
By the
it's
way, I mean, we all know this anyway, right? Do you really need
I
the
have
data? I
no
mean,
you don't.
the entire American real estate market can be explained simply by every law-abiding person working desperately to get as far away from that demographic.
I know, black person stole my camera. And then they're like, I had a camera once, hired a black person, now I don't have a camera.
First of all, you don't know who stole that camera. Second of all, while he is a good analyzer of the legal spectrum, the judicial spectrum of court cases, and like I said, he is a lawyer himself, then you as a lawyer should have the opportunity to look beyond the statistics to actually see what is systematically taking place within the black community. You got to think about, how do I want to start this? We can take it back to the Reconstruction era, after when Andrew Johnson uh, took office after President Lincoln was killed. This is how far back this goes. This systematic, continued destruction that has been taking place with the black community. We had to fight for civil rights in this country. You took our all of our jobs were taken out of this country in times where the black people were doing so great that society was beginning to appreciate the whole idea of integration, even though it wasn't appreciated in its fullest form. And white people were so bad, right? Culture in terms of their hate towards black people, it was so bad. It was the whole reason, and part of the reason, while it was stated that the Immigration Act of 1965 was initiated, was enacted. It was to have a more diverse system within the United States to die down on this whole idea of white supremacy.
And it wasn't like I went to the cops or anything because I couldn't prove it, but it was just like it happened to disappear the same week that this person got fired. So it was, do you know what I mean?
Hold up, because before I continue, I just while she talking about cracked out black people, man, let's think about Colombia. Let's think about Venezuela. While these are topics right now, if I always considered that black people built up the cartels in these countries, in Mexico, in Colombia, in Venezuela, right? But they did it out of the distribution that was coming out of from the federal government. So while you looking at the plight of black people as crackheads, right? I understand. I completely understand when your federal government, our federal government, was the leaders in actually introducing that stuff over here in the first place. Black people ain't got no boats. Black people ain't got no planes. We just recently got that in, I believe, the early 2000s when the founder of BET decided to go ahead and start its own airplane, its own flying company. I'm gonna say it like that. Begin to wanted to, have more channels of being able to, fly overseas and have it actually be owned by a black person. So, and this started in the 1970s and 80s. This stuff wasn't, coming over here and you guys didn't know about it. I mean, the federal government didn't know about it. They allowed us to sell drugs in order for and to support civil wars in other countries. And who else were we supposed to be selling these drugs to? Crack cocaine. We sold them to the immediate people that was in our communities and flourished in the process of doing that from the perspective at that time of just being able to make money. So you cannot blame the black people for taking advantage of an opportunity to sustain themselves when the federal government actually took the lead of doing that. It was that was that all that drug selling, that crack selling came from federal leadership, whether it was the CIA, the FBI, whoever it was from. That was from like you said, anything above a captain, it pretty much becomes a politician at that point. Then on top of that, let's look at how Democrats brought about the welfare system, absolutely took fathers out of the homes of the black culture. Since the welfare system it was enacted, and black people were known to be a part of the welfare system, not understanding that it is more white people that receive social welfare is part of a social welfare system. Particularly in the early 2000s and 90s, it was more of the white society than it was the black society, the black culture. And on top of that, while we're selling drugs on the streets, you were doing more destruction to the black community by imprisoning the people that sell the drugs, and not only imprisoning the people that sell the drugs, but actually imprisoning the people who buy the drugs and have who is addicted to these drugs as well. So it's troubling to for a person that I respect so much to actually hear him talk about it from a statistical standpoint without understanding the background. Man, our culture, our we as a people, and not speaking on constitutional terms, but we as a people, as a black culture, we have certainly been up against it. So while you look at the black culture and you get tired of black fatigue, man, you say that it's not a part of you know white people have nothing to do with it. Yes, you do. Yes, y'all do, and it's the reason why when think about reparations, I don't. When you think about reparations, and some black people even does this, right? They talk about reparations and that we shouldn't receive reparations. Part of the reason why you don't want us to receive reparations for one is that you don't know what black people is definitely you definitely don't know what black people is going to do with the money. That's one. You don't know if it's going to even though it's going to be able to circulate from within the United States, what they're going to do with that money is a concern. Secondly, uh secondly, I always believe that we do still need reparations, and this is the reason why, because after slavery we still have been suffering of through systematic attacks and through imprisonment, through incarceration, through low funding of our schools. Even though you make it seem like a cover up, that as in terms of a cover up that excuse me, that you've done so much to help black people. If you've done so much to help black people, then why is there a problem today? Because if we were thriving before, why is there a problem with us thriving now? And we have actually had to do a lot to wake ourselves up from the attacks of the government being caught up out of getting up out of this matrix that the government has. The crack era in the crack area and the selling of drugs era, that was pretty much being caught up in the matrix, where we were doing exactly what the federal wanted us to do in order to support wars in other countries. So while you're attacking these cartel members, right now, you created them, and we helped you create them too.
Me, and it's
Yep.
like, what am I gonna do? So I think it's actually probably even worse. When I was in England, like I would see black people just robbing the co-op next door. They would just walk out with stuff, and it's like a bait. And that's in the UK. It's the same there.
It's I honestly think I increasingly have come to believe that all these behaviors and social dysfunctions, they really all just come back to IQ. IQ. I think if you want a first world culture, you need people of a certain minimal IQ. People who can understand things like per capita, could understand how you might feel if you didn't have breakfast this morning, whose minds can understand things like the golden rule. You treat other people nice because that's the way you'd like to be treated yourself. And I think once you fall below a certain threshold IQ, you just can't do those things.
No, do you
Your
know what?
brain doesn't work that way.
'Cause
Just like they can't make change, they can't speak grammatical English. The half are we have dozen. Well, you would know in the Chicago area, there's dozens of schools, public schools,
Oh
where
yeah,
the spending per student is in the tens of thousands of dollars a year, 40, 50 grand a year per student,
I
and
know.
there's not a single student in the school who
I
can read at grade level. It's
I
unbelievable.
I know, and it was. I remember I looked it up in high school, and whatever my tuition was, Chicago had double, and they had way worse test scores than me. So that was kind of how it was.
And I don't think that's fixable, because you can't change people's IQ. IQ is almost entirely genetic.
Oh my gosh, you can't fix people's IQ. If you can't fix people's IQ, first, first and foremost, first and foremost, if you can't fix people's IQ, why are you having to go to schools? First of all, and second of all, we had the intelligence to come over here from another country, be brought over here from another country, not know each other, not know your English, and the only way that we can have the ability to talk to you was through a whip, and you pointing your finger at us to dictate and control us and tell us what to do. We couldn't, you know what I'm saying? We couldn't talk to you as a people because we did not even know your language. We made it through that. We've learned your language. We have very successful black people, and you know, when you think about all the inventions, how our culture is consistently being exploited in just in the entertainment world alone, from football, basketball, movies. You know what I'm saying? But we're not looking at the intelligence, all the inventions that you pretty much, like for instance, you would not have an Elon Musk today if it wasn't for black people. There would be no Elon Musk. His whole idea with regards to PayPal came from Africa. Let's think of the security systems that is around here. Let's think about the fire departments. Let's think about the police department within itself. The Texas Rangers. So it's so sad to actually hear these types of things when he needs to go back and do a little bit more homework to actually see how do we make the black community that much more better, because you don't see what I call in the black community, you don't see enough of the square. You don't see enough of the square out here who's leading the way in terms of representing us right. When you don't, like I said, you don't see the Martin Luther Kings. You don't see the people that is marching with suits on. You know what I'm saying? You don't see that enough today. When you do have still a lot of that out here, what's being pushed out here and what's being pushed on our culture, and especially when you have an industry like rap that is being controlled by the Jewish people, right? And the type of music that is being placed out there, right? What can you expect? You know what I'm saying? What can you expect? I mean, it's just not about rap music. You know what I'm saying? Because to make it through college in the first place, and to even play at sports, you had to have intelligence. That's like disrespecting Kobe Bryant, who knew several different languages. Several different languages. I think Kobe Bryant was smarter than you. I'm so smart that I can sit here and I can. I'm so smart that I can sit here and I can read your analysis of law and understand where you're getting at and see how you're trying to piece things together with regards to birthright citizenship in order to for Trump to have success in this whole idea of with regards to birthright citizenship. And a lot of perspective, I think he's right, because when you look at a law, you're supposed to look at the historical context of a law. In the people that were subjects of the United States at that time were black people. We were the subject. We were the subject. And we continuously have had to crawl ourselves out of this whole perspective of being the subject, in which I gripe about the Democratic Party so much, is that they still trying to get control, and they have replaced us with the immigrant population, and they're exploiting the immigrant population in order for them to maintain that whole idea of control that they had for with regards to black people in the times of slavery. And they know they're not they know they destructed the black people so much in this country that here we are, they're switching this out for the illegal immigrant population, for the immigrant population, because there is two distinctions that are different. An illegal immigrant is different from a person that is an immigrant. An immigrant is a person who has legal rights to be in this country on a permanent basis if they decide to be, and who can apply for citizenship. An unauthorized person is somebody an unauthorized entry person is somebody who is totally different from a person who has legally migrated in this country. We are the only people who who had to make things work from not voluntarily coming into this country, and who have consistently been denied the access that we needed to actually flourish as the community. Look at, oh my God, there is so much history that this guy needs to learn. Them both.
And when you look around the world, first world countries, second world countries, third world countries, and you see what the lives they've built for themselves at those various levels, it all correlates with IQ. And by extension, it tends to correlate with race because IQ and people and race tend to be geographically distributed around the world.
Yeah, yeah, no. Okay, so now we're gonna watch some videos. Do you wait? Actually, one more thing. You know what I noticed when I lived in a black.
I guarantee you I guarantee you she's going to go to some type of crime, some type of something that does not represent when I'm in Los Angeles right now, I know that I have come to the understanding that 10% to make can make 90% look bad, or 90% can make 10% look bad. Just like a 10% of your population is drug addicted, that, and you're attacking that. You're attacking that. You're trying to fix that. You know, by labeling by labeling these cartel as a terrorist now. You're attacking that. We didn't get that same treatment. But I guarantee you she's going to go to some type of crime, some type of something that is being displayed by someone of the black community. One thing that you got to understand about crime is there are reasons why people do crime. It's not necessarily that people are animals, bruh.
Area. White people are taught, or maybe it's just our culture. I never appreciated this till I didn't have it. We automatically have good faith. Like that's our automatic. We're taught things like they didn't mean it like that. Oh,
Yes,
he's just
right.
having a bad day. If someone interrupts you, you don't crash out. You just say, "Oh, I'm sorry. You go. You go. You go."
Right.
But when I lived in a black area, it was like it's like they just want to be upset about the like I couldn't believe the stuff they would fight over, like the disrespect, which at times I think that's taken advantage of by what by people. Like I think white men in particular.
Yes, that that is definitely what you will always see a black person. That is definitely what you will always see a black person fighting for. A black person will always fight for their respect. Now, this is what the fight has been about all this time, right? And so we take that highly within our community, in terms of just being able to see another person as an equal. Now, I can go outside right now, and I can go outside right now. I can step outside this door, and I can see another black man. And this is something that we have had the ability recently to get used to, is looking at another black man and saying, "How you doing, brother?" You know what I'm saying? But it's my duty as an older black man, right, to actually be able to show that character of, I'm just like you. Just like if I was to see another white person, right, I'm gonna open myself up to saying hi. How you doing, sir? Just like, I'm gonna say to another black man, "How you doing, sir? How you doing, brother?" I wish that I can have the possibilities of saying that to a white man as well. "How you doing, brother?" Because this is what the problem has been in this country ever since, pretty much stemming from the whole idea of the Democratic Party in their perspective of acting like lords, over people, over territory. This is what the Civil War was all about. You know what I'm saying? And for an individual like, these two individuals to not understand that that as well from a perspective, and while we can consistently have all these laws that have been enacted by Democrats that to keep black people in chains, and they are imploding right now on themselves, and particularly civil rights. I mean, the whole birthright citizenship idea is, once again, black people And listen, no pun intended, but this whole birthright citizenship idea right now is, you should take it from the perspective that black people again is about to save white people from destroying themselves, because they are handing their country over. They are handing their country over. They are handing our country over. Let me get it right.
Popular, because they're so good natured. At times it's taken advantage of. But I'd far rather live in a society that sometimes when you're too nice, you're taken advantage of, rather than fighting over disrespect all the time. I'm like, I can't live like this.
Yeah, I mean it's much the same issue as I mean you see men being simps with women, right? Women can hit them, women can curse them out in public, and the guys just sit there and take it. Especially the last few decades, men have been conditioned to become very feminized and
Yeah.
very placid and have no boundaries. And that just gets taken advantage of it. And the black community does this kind of thing because it works.
Yeah. All right, let's watch some of the videos and give our commentary. All right, here we got this.
Now for
And do you know what? Who's got the most black fatigue? Black people that aren't like this.
Well,
I've never, because they have to grow up around it. I've never met more fatigued people. Like, I had someone call into my show that was a landlord. He was a black landlord and he rented to mostly black people. And he was like, he was more fatigued than me.
yeah. So, I mean, I think it's fair to point out, of course, that when we're talking about populations generally, we're talking about people generally. We're not talking about individuals, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, there's people in the black community who are geniuses. Thomas Sowell, the economist, is a genius. Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court is a genius. They're African American men. They're geniuses. They're far smarter than I'll ever be. But of course, we're not really talking about individuals. We're talking about the populations generally. And when you're talking about large numbers of people, you have to expect you're going to get pretty much the average of how those people behave, not the exceptional cases.
Yeah.
a warning now for our audience. This next video is hard to watch. It may be unsuitable for sensitive viewers. You may remember this video from 2023 showing a brutal attack on a senior citizen with dementia. Today, one of the attackers, Travion Lockridge, was sentenced to 15 years in prison for aggravated robbery. KPRC2 News reporter Jaewon Jung spoke with the victim's family. She joins us live now from downtown.
Like, I feel like when white people rob, like when we have our Wolf of Wall Streets, they at least have the audacity to go after rich people.
Yeah. I just
You know,
feel-
they at least have, our criminals have basic decorum.
Can we at least pass the rule that they have to have their name on their shirt somewhere? Like you see Travion and you know to go for your gun right away.
Man, that is horrible. That is horrible. At least they explain that that white people rob too. They just gotta have a different way of going about it. You know what I'm saying? That makes it not statistically accountable in terms of crime. That you do have enough knowledge to understand that, white people are a part of the system that commits crime, and it's crazy because your politicians commit a lot of crime. Your politicians commit crimes every day. Your politicians commit crimes every day. They do it right in front of you, But because there is no law that bounds them to be criminally prosecuted in terms of a crime, here we are. We're not bringing that up as a statistic. We're not bringing that up at all as a statistic. Like look at what the pharmaceutical company did with the doctors in order to have some of these individuals, be addicted to drugs. And it only took note when it was hitting the white people's community so hard. And some of them doctors got persecuted. Yeah, we have, and when you, that's why there is a thing called white collar crime. Yeah, man. Ooh.
With how they're feeling about today's sentence.
Like dementia? What the?
Jaewon.
Good evening, Keith. Well, the family tells me they're glad there was a measure of justice. Today, several of them testified in front of a judge here at the Harris County Courthouse, telling the judge that telling the judge that their lives were forever changed by this brutal attack. And we do want to warn you, we're about to show you some of the video of this attack, and it might be disturbing to watch. Even nearly 2 years later, this video is hard to watch. It shows the violent attack in a parking lot off Shepherd near Tidwell. The victim is Florentino Hurtado, a 69-year-old man with dementia.
How could you do that to an old man?
Delilah Brown is Hurtado's granddaughter. She tells me the injuries from that day worsened his dementia.
Before the beating, he was able to recall people's faces, his granddaughters, his great-grandchildren, but now there's no recollection.
On the day
So
of
they
the
killed
attack,
him.
Hurtado
Yeah,
They
essentially.
killed him.
Yeah.
I believe when there's a fight like this and someone suffers a traumatic brain injury, that should be treated as a murder. Because if you've ever met someone, you knew them before they had a head injury, you knew them afterwards, they're not the same person anymore.
No, they're not.
Whoever they were before, that person's dead. They're gone. And now there's a different person there.
Yeah, I've never met someone that got into a fight, but I had someone with a brain.
So if you completely just destroy culture with all the laws that you put in place to attack them, with the drugs that you put into their cities, and you have people, and this once the manufacturing had went to China, in which, hold on, first of all, if you wouldn't have, if your leaders, right, if our leaders, right, wouldn't have sent the jobs all the way to China, or all the manufacturing jobs that was in the black community in China, which created China to be a second world power. A second world power. These jobs came out of white community. I mean, excuse me, out of black communities. A lot of these manufacturing jobs that Trump is trying to get back over here right now, you probably wouldn't see. First of all, these men robbing these if, from a generational perspective, their fathers and grandfathers would have had the possibility of doing better with those jobs. Secondly, you allow China to become a second world power. And so think about the advancement that would have happened to the black community with those jobs in terms of, economic mobility. Think of the support systems that people are able to give to each other economically with those jobs. It has the ability to raise culture up to another level. Now we had to fight through that, and this is the reason why you have hip hop, rap, right? It was the explanation of what we were going through in different stages. In different stages, it tells you that what the fight was all about. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad in hip hop right now we're starting to recognize that, yeah, we need to change some of these dynamics. You know what I'm saying? We need to, stop talking about this and that. We have raised the consciousness that, yeah, gangster rap at one point was cool. You know what I'm saying? But now we look at it like, man, after so many deaths is happening in from within that industry alone, from that type of music, we like, hold on, man, wait a minute. Okay, so it shows the intelligence of growth even more. But think of if you wanted us to be that much of a brother within this nation, if you will work with us side by side, you would have not given the manufacturing jobs over to China. And now you look at us like we're the problem.
Tumor, and it was like within 6 months of the tumor, he was gone. Yeah, they're not.
had been at the meat market with his wife when he got lost and tried to open the wrong car door.
They were under the impression he was trying to break in the car.
Perry Bass represents the
You see what I mean? It's the bad faith. It's like,
So if he's trying to break into the car, why do they have him? He's on his knees and they're still punching him in the head.
okay, they're probably just lying.
First of all, I am going to stay true to fact. What's wrong is wrong, and what what's right is right. That's something that we all in our community we believe in, pure point blank. You know what I'm saying? That's just like with this whole immigration thing, right? Where we not about to go out there and help individuals who came over here to this country illegally, put up our lives. You know, for this is a stance from the majority of the community. Why we act so violent? We could have went out there with them. We could have went out there with them and really, it really would have been a show. But because we didn't have an understanding of what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, we wasn't out there in the numbers that you would have expected. And you know, and it's not necessarily it's not necessarily the idea of black and brown should be together, but we are a community that stands on what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And this whole situation with this, yeah, with these, I suspect two teenage boys beating a senior citizen with dementia. Yeah, that is a problem. That is a problem. That is really wrong. But you see a lot of white crime as well. Don't take don't take don't take this as something that the black people necessarily accepts as a whole. Only thing that I believe that in terms of all communities within the black culture that when it come in terms of gangs and gang violence, that the those gangs need to revert back to being about community. The community needs to come before the gang, not the gang before the community. If that ideology switches within our culture, we you would I mean you would have a thing, you know, to where you see like the Black Panther Party who's actually trying to work with the community to make the community better as like a militant group. And it don't necessarily has to be about it being a militant group. It just got to be about respect for each other. And we're coming into that. I don't know why this camera keep on going off. I'm sorry. And we're coming into that. And but we coming through. We're coming into that through all the attacks that has happened to us, consistent attacks. And this is why I think reparations. We are still have the opportunity to receive reparations because we have just came from under attack. It's only through the Trump administration where black people is absolutely beginning to be appreciated for the contributions that they have given to this country. You know what I'm saying? Instead of you know one like you know one out of a bunch. You know the Michael Jordan that you can look at, the Oprah Winfrey, the Clarence Thomas. You know what I'm saying? Besides the people that you can see on television screens. Well, think about all the inventors that's been behind the scenes that has absolutely supported these corporations with its technology from a technological standpoint. You know what I'm saying? Which really allows you to be the world power and give this country the opportunity to be the world power that it truly is. You need. I mean, white people needed the Indians to survive over here. Then you needed to employ black people to work in your fields, right? And indentured servitude wasn't enough from the European perspective, but you know, in that instance, you know, we had to save black people was had to save the white people from themselves because that's what the Civil War was all about. It was all about the lords versus the indentured servants who wanted opportunity in this state. I mean, in the United States too, in the colonies too. So here we are, we getting caught in the middle. Now we caught in the middle with this immigration problem, which I hope that the historical analysis with regards to the birthright citizenship deal is correctly ruled based on the historical analysis that the Supreme Court should deliver, right? When you look at the historical context. Like I said, you know, illegal immigrants or immigrants weren't subject weren't subjects of the United States at that point of time.
Oh my god.
Suspect Travion Lockridge, who was
Oh my god. He's so fat
sentenced
too.
today. Could the defendant have been more compassionate in
Well,
this
sure.
situation?
Well, yeah, was it was several mistakes there.
Bass tells me Lockridge is sorry, but Delilah
I
doesn't
was
buy
attempting
it.
to fast
There's no
forward, because I'm
accountability, no
kind of looking at
remorse.
that. That is
Just to
very
anybody
disrespectful in terms
watching
of
this
a
and they
community
see
aspect
an elderly person who is
within
confused out
itself.
on the street, what would be your message to them?
Show some love and some compassion. That's someone's father, that's someone's grandfather, that's someone's husband, brother, sister. So I would just show some compassion.
Yeah, and they tell me compassion is something that goes
Yeah, compassion is something that goes both ways. Like I said, I'm not in agreement with them individuals did. However, how can we have compassion from a society? How can you expect us to have the intelligence for compassion when we haven't had that same, compassion from the state of society within itself? You know what I'm saying? It takes us to having to go through stuff like prison or the military, to where we see lives getting taken, and we have to be the actual ones who take them lives, to where we actually grow in understanding and compassion for people, and especially when we're, the streets don't love nobody, and and the streets have had to have raised a lot of these black men and women, because we are in a single parent household. But my question has always been, why doing this whole idea with regards to not having, if you want to receive government funding, why white people's household wasn't treated the same, where the father had to leave the house. You know what I'm saying? Like, and why draw back music from schools when black people has been thriving in the whole idea of music for such a long time as a way of expression. Not let's not even think about how this is played out in the news when it came time to put out those political agendas against the black culture. How the news has pretty much push and propagandize the people's minds. Though the white people's minds didn't get propaganda, it wasn't the only people's minds who got propagandized. We also did, with the idea of what black culture is, who are black people, and what they do. So I want to thank y'all, man, for taking the time. I don't know what's going on with my cameras right now. I think I probably need to put some more batteries in them, because I literally got 5 cameras up here, and probably 2 of them is actually working right now. But my name is Tiny Cross-H.U.G. Uh, I want to thank my culture, my people, first and foremost, for being going and being through all the things that you have gone through. Continuous want to fight for respect in this country, being assured in that, and continuing to fight. I want to, just take the opportunity to realize, how far we have come, and just be thankful. I just thank God that we are still so much of a factor in this nation, that we are once again being asked to save the white people from themselves, because their country is literally being handed over, and it's from their making. So while you're fighting for to get some relief from this immigration problem, because not only have our jobs being taken, but you guys' jobs has been taken too. And he goes into that in another video because he attacks the H-1B visas and how the Indians and the Asians are taking jobs away that Americans should be doing, and he's been a victim of that as well. I like to take the opportunity to applaud my people for just the consistent fight. And this is why with this show, I always say that it's a good day to be a soldier. It's always a good day to represent. You know what I'm saying? It's all about uh, what type of soldier you would like to be. And that's the only thing that I can say from an individual perspective. That is something that, from an individual perspective, that's something that I believe that my culture fully gives the individual the possibility of doing. You know what I'm saying? We give ourselves a chance to get out. You know what I'm saying? Now, a key contributor is support system. I'm just coming into reality of how important a support network is. And this is what I'm saying. If we have that support within this country to be, you know, all of what the making of this country is supposed to be about, it's a possibility, but it's all about those support systems. We haven't we Our support systems from within this country has not been there the way that other people's support systems have. Our adventures continuously get taken. We don't get celebrated for our contributions to this country, and then we get looked at in the news only when it comes to stuff like crime. Like I said, I'm Tiny Cross-H.U.G. This is the Trumped Up Live Show. It is a good day to be a soldier. Always remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell, man. Let's continue having these types of discussions. Leave your comments, and I'm out.